So, hey, everybody, super excited for you guys all to be here. On today's episode, we're going to be talking with my good friend here, Dr. Tabor Smith. You may or may not know who he is. For those of you who aren't familiar with him, Dr. Tabor is an absolute genius at chiropractic marketing, has a very successful clinic out in Texas, and just has an incredible career already at a relatively early start. He started off at one of the largest chiropractic offices in, was it Houston area?
Yeah, I'm in Houston now. I actually started in Amarillo.
Okay, Amarillo, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing a lot of spinal screenings, learned a lot of the ins and outs of the marketing at a clinic where they were seeing about 1,400 visits a week. Is that right?
That's correct.
So super high volume there. He now runs multiple high volume clinics, which he built from scratch, low cost, which I think a lot of chiropractors need to tune in and hear. He implements a lot of these kind of low cost marketing strategies, such as spinal screenings, dinner talks, business-to-business workshops. And now he's coaching chiropractors all throughout the world and helping them kind of share their unique message, basically helping them to be able to get that message out to the public and to their patients, and basically teaching them how to get lots of new patients in their clinics and be successful. And he's part of the Chiro Thought Leaders group. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
And he's been interviewed by a ton of different groups, showcased on chiropractic newsletters, blogs, websites, and other podcasts all throughout the country. He's literally helped hundreds of docs, and I would probably say at this point, thousands at this point. I don't think that's an exaggeration. And really, really helping them expand their reach. So thank you with that kind of intro there. Thanks for being here. I know you're super busy, so thanks for taking time out of your schedule to be here with me.
It's absolutely my pleasure, and thank you for the nice introduction. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we kind of did give you a little bit of a bio, but maybe a little bit more on an intimate, personal level. Share with the docs who are watching this, maybe a little bit about your story, kind of a quick elevator pitch snapshot of kind of what got you into this and where you're at now.
Yep. Well, way back, I actually, I was an athlete. I played sports. My dad was a high school basketball coach, and I had horrible low back pain all the time, but it got so bad it was debilitating. It was shooting pain down my legs. My legs would go completely weak. My parents would even have to lift my legs up for me to get them into bed. And I was in the emergency room some nights. I was always on pain pills, anti-inflammatories, and it wasn't until we found chiropractic that absolutely changed my life. And I decided, who wouldn't want to be a chiropractor if you could help people with that type of thing. And I just understood that it helped with back pain, which was enough for me to just say everybody in the world needs it. And then I went to chiropractic school, and I got involved. Actually, I would say when I first graduated chiropractic school, I would have called myself a medipractor. I was I almost went to physician assistant school. Unfortunately, I'm glad that I didn't. Because I feel like I have a stronger philosophy and a great, anchor in the principled message of chiropractic now. But it was that office that I first started out in, Dr. Shane Hand in Amarillo, Texas, who really, that was the pivot point of my career. And when I got out of school, I was looking for a job, and he offered me one. And I just so happened to be a very high volume, very principled chiropractic office. And when I went there, just thousands of patients were coming in every week. And I'll never forget, he had, you know how we do like a group doctor's report?
Uh-huh.
Well, he had a group doctor's report, but then he had a group re-exam report as well, which, I don't do that in my office now, but it probably is a great thing, a great idea. And we were involved in a specific management company that recommended we do that. So he gave a group re-exam, and during the group re-exam, there would always be 5 to 10 people in this group report, and he would ask them individually. He would go through one by one. He would say, what's your experience been in our office so far? And they had been in our office for about maybe 3 months at that point. And I just remember every single one of them had a positive thing to say about the treatment they were getting in the office. Like literally maybe 1 out of every 100 to even less than that would say I haven't noticed much at the 3-month mark. But 99 out of 100 people would get, and some of them just absolutely amazing testimonials. And I thought, oh my God, that's 99% success rate. Right. Like what? pharmaceutical company, what other intervention, where could you get that kind of success rate? And I thought, wow, this is powerful. And that's where I started really getting into, the power of the adjustment, understanding it, studying it. I really lean towards corrective care chiropractic. I enjoy chiropractic biophysics. I just received certification, basic certification through that.
Yeah, you're up in my neck of the woods here.
Yeah, in Boise, Idaho, which is awesome. But that's what I do now. I have very principled, but I would say high volume. I'm not at 1,400 a week. We do about 300 to 400 patient visits a week in our office. But we do corrective care, and we have, we just get great results. And I think even on top of that, we have a very specific, very unique way that we connect with our patients. And I'd say we just have a very strong tribe in our office. And I really love the environment. It's fun going to work, and it's fun building relationships with patients. And that's what I'm into.
That's awesome. A couple of things that I just want to kind of highlight for those who are watching, a couple of thoughts that I had in all of this. And it is this, there's going to be a lot of different types of doctors that are watching this. There's going to be some who maybe a higher volume type practice, maybe a more subluxation or principle-based practice doesn't really fit the model that they jive with. And that's totally cool. I know myself, I'm the first to admit to docs when they talk to me, we don't do high volume at our clinic. Ours is a little bit more rehab based, a little bit more one-on-one time. So we're not seeing those types of numbers. But the key that I want to kind of point out is this. There are principles that are inherently the foundational principles are the same in the sense that what you said there, you highlighted. Clearly, the doc that you were talking about was doing something right insofar as retention, insofar as building that tribe, like you said, and clearly that's rubbed off on you. You've learned a lot that you've integrated. And I think that's kind of a perfect segue into kind of what I've been wanting to kind of chat with you about and kind of what prompted all this. So kind of from my background, for everybody who's watching, this is kind of why I reached out to Dr. Smith here to get him on the Reboot podcast. Is I was super impressed because he's one of the few docs that I've seen that really understands the power of email marketing and using that specific tool to help create that patient attraction and patient retention, patient relationships. And so kind of what I wanted to kind of segue into kind of with what you were saying there as far as creating that tribe is explain to doctors who are watching this, and again, we're going to have some who may be familiar with email marketing, some who have never even contemplated it before, but answer the question for them as why email marketing? Why market to your patients via email? So
the why email marketing is because going back to what you just said, and I don't at all mean to come off as the way what I do is the right way. In fact, what has to happen is you as a chiropractor have to find out who you are, and you have to practice based on who you are. So if you're that person who is, a lower volume and more time with the patient, you need to be that person because that's congruent with you. If you are that person who, higher volume resonates with you and these different types of techniques resonate with you, that's where we need to go. And I think it's not so much just why email marketing, but it's being able to find I would say a utensil like email, something that allows you to express yourself through
that vehicle or that platform.
Vehicle. That's exactly the word I was looking for. So it's that vehicle to express your real self to your patients, and email just helps us do that. And email is a, it's been around for a long time now. It was one of the first vehicles to be able to do that. Now we have social media, Facebook, all of these types of things that are very valuable as well. But you look at all these big businesses, conglomerates, people that I follow on the internet that you do too, like Russell Brunson and Brendan Burchard and Eben Pagan and all of these guys, and they'll tell you, like, social media is great, but you're funneling everybody to get their email address because email is still extremely personal. People still open emails. I don't care, what some of the statistics say. I know we're going more mobile, but you can open your email right from your phone. In fact, most people do. And it allows you to express the person that you are to your following. And that helps you to build a close-knit tribe. And if you really want a successful business, one that's fulfilling, and I'm not just talking about success is not just money, but it's being fulfilled in life. And that's done by being able to provide a value to people and also being able to build relationships with those people. And that's what I feel like success is. And
absolutely.
Email marketing in our office because it helps us to do that.
Yeah. And one thing I would even point out too that you said there, that I'll just kind of even go, one other reason why email is so critical. If you look at social media platforms, in fact, if you know who Dr. Matthew Loop is,
Yeah.
he just put out like a 2-minute little video that he said, and I was just like, amen to everything he said. What he said was, he said one of the greatest mistakes chiropractors and or business owners can make is when they rely on building their following on someone else's platform. So let's say, the question is, so let's say we've got chiropractors who are watching, well, I've already got a YouTube following, or I've already got a Facebook following. That's all good and fine. That's a great start. But the problem is that what happens all of a sudden if YouTube all of a sudden changes certain policies or certain things? What if Facebook, and we see this, Facebook did it, back in the day, you could blast out a message to your followers on Facebook as a group, right? Yep. But then they changed that. Now you can't. Now you've got to pay for, that kind of message blasting and things like that. And so with email, you have a lot more control over the way you deliver that content that you're talking about, and you can deliver it in just about any way you want. So like, email should be kind of like that foundational piece there that, let's say you do have a YouTube channel, great. We'll use email as the vehicle to drive them to the YouTube videos, or use email as the vehicle to drive them to a podcast, email as a vehicle to Facebook, to whatever it is, Twitter, Pinterest, whatever that is. But that needs to be that kind of pulse, that vehicle that kind of keeps the pulse alive in the blood of that relationship that you're trying to nurture with those patients or with your following.
That's exactly right. And it also, me and you, we talked about this a little bit in our phone call yesterday, but your patients want to know who you are as a person, and they can't always do that. Like you said, I think the statistics now is every post, especially from a business Facebook page, every post you might be actually getting that post to 7% of your following or something like that. Whereas with email, you can show pictures, you can show them what you're doing. I give an example. I went to Boise, Idaho for a week-long certification for chiropractic biophysics, and I sent my patients emails because our hours were different that week, and I know some people were going to be confused, but I wanted them to know what I was doing, and I took pictures of my notes. I took pictures of me in all these crazy setups and traction devices, and man, I got so much replies from those emails and so much just warm, just love reaching out to me and telling me have a safe trip, have a great time, we're so proud of you, all of this stuff. And even just over that week, being able to send those emails to my patients, I think built a stronger relationship with some of them. Yep.
No, that's exactly right. And the thing that I would say, I say the stats prove that patients want, like you just said, they want to know the real you. Yeah. They want transparency. People are starving for transparency. People want to engage with someone they can relate to. And a relatable person is someone who's authentic, someone who's not trying to put on some sort of it's real easy for us to kind of put on that kind of screen of I'm professional doctor and everything's great and perfect and all that in this very kind of sterile image. But if you can, like you said, kind of be willing to put yourself out there a little bit, and obviously in a professional way, sure, but still engage with people. I was talking to you on the phone yesterday. I was saying I have the stats to prove it with my own. I'll send out emails, on different health topics to patients, and people will engage with that on a decent, range. We're on par for, what the averages should be. But all of a sudden, if I share something from my personal life, perfect example, I went on a salmon fishing trip a year ago, sent out an email, said, hey, who wants to see the video of my salmon fishing trip? And just the numbers of open rates just skyrocketed. Like you said, people want to see that. Oh, he's in Boise. What's he doing out there? Oh, that's cool. He's doing CE credits. That's cool. What's he doing? People want to engage with that. So that's huge. That's absolutely huge. So yeah, thanks for bringing that part up. And the other part that you said too was, your engagement rate is much higher with email than with Facebook. That was another reason why too. You post stuff on Facebook and you think that you're getting like I've got, 3,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 likes on Facebook. Dude, you're lucky if a handful of those people are seeing what you're posting, right? So, and if you do things with email right, you'll get much higher response,
Right. And another tool or reason to use email is patient education. And good luck. I mean, we do post educational things on Facebook, but good luck trying to focus and pinpoint your actual patient on Facebook and then, work them through a sequence of patient educational posts. Right. It's just not going to happen, Right. Whereas I can set up an automated drip system that I know is going to be delivered to that patient's inbox, and I can cover the topics that I need them to know as they go through their life cycle in my office the great thing about that too is I can only put in the work once, and it's automated every time, you know, I enter another patient's email. They're getting that one email a week that's on the topics that I want to teach my patients about. So that in itself,
yeah,
extremely, you know, valuable reason to be using email.
No, that's crazy powerful. And the thing I think the one thing I want to kind of clarify here, if it's not abundantly clear already, is we're not talking about using email in the 1990s way. You know, so many doctors' offices, they use, oh, okay, we send out birthday email reminders. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about using it as an automated tool to really provide powerful, and I'm going to use the word very intentionally here, indoctrination. You know, you can indoctrinate them into your way of thinking, into the real you, into important critical things you want them to know. And if you start off the relationship that way by beginning that process, email can be much more than just that whole like, hey, we're going to send out a monthly email where it's very generic and very bland and not much personal flavor to it.
Well, and you know, your audience here may be a little bit more tech savvy. They're on the podcast, you know, they're doing these types of things. But I spoke at a seminar not too long ago, and I asked for a raise of hands and asked the chiropractors, how many of you have an email marketing software and you use email to market in your office? And very few people, you know, raised their hand. A lot of them were actually using their Hotmail or their, you know, Yahoo or their AOL or whatever, and they were blind copying a list of emails that their patients had got to them every time they want to send an email out. And so, you know, that I think is probably the biggest mistake you could make, is using your personal email account for your business instead of using a very simple, very affordable software like Aweber or MailChimp or Constant Contact or Infusionsoft. You know,
what do you use right now?
Personally, I recommend chiropractors use Aweber. I use Aweber for my office. I think it's just so easy to use. It's easy to learn, and it's only $20 a month when you first start out. So it's almost zero for overhead. For Chiro Thought Leaders, we use Infusionsoft. We try to get a little bit more, you know, in depth, and it's a little bit more complicated with tags.
You guys using Infusionsoft there? Is that what you're using there?
Yeah, for Chiro Thought Leaders, we use Infusionsoft. Yeah.
So I think for the scope of most docs, I would say something like Aweber or MailChimp or GetResponse, one of those, because those are a little bit more intuitive, a little bit more user-friendly, so you can kind of do that. And I think that kind of segues into a really good question that I have for you now. Assuming that most people that are listening or watching this aren't using email, or if they're using it, but they're not really using it to its full potential, like what you're talking about, what would you say would be a simple way to begin the process? Like, outline for me, if you were to sit down with a doc and just give them a simple way, how do I get started?
So great question. What I would do is, first, if you don't have a software, I would go to aweber.com, AWEBER.com.
We'll put a link on it too in the podcast for everybody.
Perfect. And you can even sign up for a free trial. You don't even have to sign up for $20 a month for overhead for a chiropractic office is nothing, right?
No brainer, yeah.
It's a no brainer because it's going to bring you back. It's an investment that, trust me, you're going to want to make. But I would begin with getting that software. Learn how to use it. There's a lot of tutorials and different things on the software. They teach you how to use their own software. But then here's what I would do, is a little bit of prep work, is to sit down and think about what you would want your patient to know after they go through an entire life cycle in your office. So and the way I did it is I want to build relationship, and I want to be able to come across as a very friendly but also educational style that's going to, you know, make this person like me a little bit more. So what I imagine myself doing is like sitting on a couch with my patient and really getting to know them and enjoying the conversation that we're having, but teaching them everything that I want them to know about my philosophy and my chiropractic care in my office, and go through, and I would start in the beginning and go all the way to the end to what I would want them to know. And then I would go back and I would write that as emails and put that in an email sequence that would go out once a week. And you can set this up in your software. You just go to the follow-up sequence section and create these emails. And you would write a short email that would go out in week 1. Then you set the next email up to delay and go out the second week. And I actually have about so our initial care plan is 12 weeks, and so I have right now 14 automated emails that will go out starting the first day that they come in my office. And I actually created, and I go over this a little bit, and I have a program called Email Pro that will actually show you how you can actually niche down. So my new patients that start care, they go into a certain list. New patients that came in and maybe they didn't start care, they would go into a separate list that they get a survey asking them about their experience in my office, so I can learn more about why they didn't start care, right? Yep. So you can get really in depth in this, but I would say just for basics and just for starting is do that. Think about what you want your patients to know in that life cycle, and then create, 5, 10, 15 emails that would teach that patient. If they imagine them opening every one and then writing the email like you're talking to them. So a lot of people want to write it like it's an autobiography and all these very big words and all these types of things. And so you want to just really imagine that I'm talking straight to you and write exactly like that. Sometimes I even put like gonna, G-O-N-N-A, as a word. That's just how I talk, and I want that to come across in my email. It's very friendly and
very conversational. Yeah,
very conversational. And here's the cool thing: once you do that, it's totally set up. It's totally automated. All you do is create a system with your front desk so that when someone comes in and they put their email on their new patient intake form, your CA takes that email. And I have them actually, you can do it yourself, or have your CA log into Aweber, and then all you do is import their email into that list, and you never have to touch it again. That patient is going to get an email every week. And then, you also use that later on when I have a dinner workshop or an advanced talk. I what we call email blast. I blast an email out to all my emails and let them know we have a big event, and that helps me fill my events.
Let me share with you, people watching. We've got an event coming up this Saturday. We're hosting an event at the Boise Zoo. And we have basically sent it out to our email list. That's it. No mail, so basically zero cost associated with the promotion of this.
Exactly.
We've got over 800 people that are RSVP'd to this event. 800.
Oh, awesome,
people,
man.
like ridiculous, like crazy. And that's the power of email, thanks to email marketing. If you pay, it pays you huge dividend. We anticipate from that. I mean, the last event, well, put it in perspective, we did another event back in January. We had 200 people at it, and from that 200, we had 23 new patients. 23 new patients for 200 people. I mean, that's email, and it's all because of email. It's all because of email. You can continue that process, nurture those relationships. That's so huge. The question I wanted to ask you, Tabor, was how do you respond? Because I'm sure there's going to be docs who listen to this or hear this, and maybe their initial response is a little bit fearful as far as like, I don't want to offend any of my patients. I don't want them to think like I'm spamming them. How would you respond to them? And maybe even your experience, if you've experienced that, and if so, what the statistics are as far as,
a lot of docs, the biggest thing that I get as far as being fearful is they think they're going to be sending them too many emails. And I've been shocked that actually some docs think one email a week is too many. And I think that is the minimum that you need to be sending.
Oh, absolutely.
The reason I set it up as one email a week is because I know that since it's automated, they are getting at least one email a week. Right. Then I have my dinner workshops, my advanced talks, any type of event we're doing in the community, and I'm blasting those emails to everybody. So I'm hoping that people get 2 to even 3 emails a week from me. And the reason that you should not be fearful about that is because if someone opts out of your list, some docs are like, no, they're going to opt out of my list. But you have to realize you want to build and strengthen the tribe. Your tribe members, that's who you need to care about. And the people who are going to be opting out of your list because you're sending them too many emails, those are probably not your ideal patients. They are probably not they don't even want to be a part of your tribe. The people who are going to love it and want more, those are the people you need to nurture and take care of, because they're not only going to be your patients for life, but they're going to be the ones that refer and send you patients just like them that are going to be amazing. And my wife always says, when we get somebody who's just a grump and just a pain and just hard to deal with in the office, my wife says, you know what, just tell them this is not the right place for them. She says, we don't need a weed in our garden, and you don't. You need to nurture the people that you love and nurture the people who are like-minded with you, and then those like-minded people grow into more and more, and email could actually be a good thing in helping you to do that.
Two things I would say from what you said there. Dan Kennedy once said, you got to break a couple eggs to make an omelet, is what he said. So just recognize, it's the whole like Aristotle, if you don't want to offend anyone, do nothing, say. Am I thinking correctly here? That saying, was it Aristotle who said that?
Say that again. Say that.
Was it Aristotle who once said, if you wish not to offend anyone, be nothing, say nothing, do nothing?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I think it was Aristotle.
So and so that's kind of the whole thing is, look, understand that no matter what you do, there are going to be small numbers, and I mean statistically insignificant numbers of people who may get offended by it, and that's fine. Let them, there's a quick and easy unsubscribe button at the end of all the emails. And exactly what you said there is that it's not about, and that's in marketing in general. I think it's not just about email marketing, it's about your message and marketing in general. Yeah. True and real marketing is just as much about repelling the wrong people as it is about attracting the right ones.
Well, in today's day and age, if you're trying to be everything to everyone, it just doesn't work. And, because used to those big conglomerates, they try to be everything to everyone. And we talked about this the other day as well, the Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans. The reason why chiropractic is able to come up and we're starting to, at least grow our numbers to where we could kind of, I don't know if you want to say battle, but at least compete with some of the pharmaceutical areas, is because of this 1,000 True Fans. It's because that there are chiropractors out there who are building that strong tribe, and then a small tribe turns into a large tribe, and then certain tribes actually bound together. We saw it with CrossFit, right? There were little bitty tribes across the country, and then all of a sudden it became national, and now it's becoming even bigger and bigger. And you look at the people who are in CrossFit, they love it, they live it, and that's what we need to do with our patients in building the strong tribes that we have to have.
Absolutely. And I would even say, you look at Greg Glassman, who's the founder of CrossFit. He's a highly polarizing individual. Some people love him. Some people hate him. Love him or hate him, the point is exactly what you just said there, is that he stands for something, right? And again, if you don't like it, that's fine. But the point is exactly that, is that, and I don't at all, like, for lack of a better analogy of putting this, I don't want to turn this into a Christian message or anything like that, but it was Jesus who said, my sheep hear my voice, and follow me, sort of thing. That's the thing. I mean, I'm not saying that we're talking about evangelizing, but to some point, it's the same principle holds true here, that what you'll find is those people who you're meant to kind of work with, and who want to follow you, that'll resonate with them, and they'll follow you, and so you need to, again, I think that fear comes when you're missing the mark of trying to make sure that you don't offend anyone and make sure that you're trying to capture everybody. It's not about capturing everybody. It's about finding that slice, carving out your unique niche. And when you do that, I think that's very liberating. I think it should bring you a lot of comfort and a lot of peace, knowing that, that's not about trying to get everybody. It's about getting your tribe to follow you. So
right. It's about not, you're right. It's very peaceful knowing that I'm not thinking about it monetarily. I'm not thinking about money. I'm thinking about value. And how can I get more value out there? Because I know that when I give more value, then we get success, we get money, we get whatever it is. But I'm trying to find every single, vehicle, venue, everything that we can find to be able to get this value that I have out to more people.
Absolutely. It's kind of great segue there. Speaking of value, for those who are listening or watching this podcast, just give a little bit of a primer as far as an outline pitch, if you will, if you want to pitch it, your program. You kind of hinted at it, you kind of talked a little bit about it, but Dr. Tabor Smith has an awesome program for chiropractors, teaching them this whole process step by step of how to go about using email marketing in your practice. So just give us a little bit of a primer on that.
Absolutely. Well, it's called Email Pro, and it's what we've talked about so far, plus more. We sit down with you and I walk you through step by step from beginning to end, with starting with that email marketing software, working on what is a follow-up sequence, how to get those. I actually give you my personal follow-up sequence, the 14 emails that I have set in my office, and then show you how to load them. We also go through the anatomy of an email. Not a lot of people realize that, you want to make the email look a certain way. You want it to be nice and presentable. So we do a logo at the top, we do a body, we do a image, we do a sign off.
Well, and sorry to interrupt you, but I was just going to say, there's a certain chiropractor who will go unnamed. I'm not going to throw him under the bus here, but he markets to chiropractors. And I've seen some of his emails that he sends out. Yeah. And oh my gosh, like what you said is it has to look a certain way. Otherwise, I mean, he's like dense paragraphs, super small font. And it's just like, it reads like a novel. Right. And you're just like, no way. Like I look at those and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, and not to be offensive or anything, but it's just, he doesn't know, you know?
You know, it's subconscious to our culture now where you open an email and it looks like that, we know it's spam and we just delete it. You know what I mean? And I can't even tell you like what it looks like, but you can see it and it is spam and it's deleted. It's gone.
Yep. It has that very kind of corporate feel to it. Like
exactly.
Or it's like this, you know, exactly.
The structure, and then we go over how to set up the automated sequence, which I think is very important. Then we go over broadcasts, and I teach you how to get more people to your events by sending out broadcasts. I found through just testing and doing that we send 4 to 6 days before an event, then the day of the event. I give you my actual templates that I use for my event emails, and so it makes it super fast and easy. Even if you're having to send a broadcast, you can copy paste, put in the dates, put in your logo, and be able to go with those. In fact, this training set up so that your staff can actually learn this and do this as well. And let's see, one of the big things is we go over niche marketing, and we niche down. And so Facebook has been huge on helping chiropractors niche into different areas. We have, I do videos based on like migraines, or even a dinner invite video or a low back pain video, and you want to create a separate email list for those people, because that person that has migraines, they want to learn what's good for migraine, and then you can focus on how the adjustment works, the neurology of migraines, what supplements are good, but you can put that in an automated email sequence. And so those people who have those specific conditions are getting value from you as well, and then have the opportunity to come into your office. So there's a lot of different ways to use email, and I don't mean to scare anybody out there. If you're new to this, just starting with the basics is going to be better than not starting at all. But once you understand those basics, then you start implementing some other very simple strategies, and we try to help you do that. And it just helps continually take your office and your practice to the next level and keep going up the steps.
I honestly, I'm being totally serious here. If that was offered to me back when I was just getting started in the whole process, a program like this would have saved me a lot of time and honestly a lot of money and a lot of frustration. Yeah. And so docs who want to take advantage of this course, where do they go to sign up for it?
They can go to beuncommon.com, and beuncommon.com, you can see basically everything that I do there. It's kind of a hub for me, and then you can see Email Pro will be a specific link for that, and a video that will even tell you more about it.
And I'll put a link of that in the podcast here, so everybody can just see right below the episode here. They can click on that so they can get to it. But no, that's awesome. So I did want to ask you, this is the Reboot podcast, and one of my big soapboxes is that morning reboot, that morning routine. Share for the docs who are watching right now, because again, I am a big advocate, and I preach very loud and clear that all successful people have a solid morning routine, and I'm confident that you're no different. You have probably your morning ritual that you do. Share with docs a little bit in the day in the life of Tabor Smith, what you do in the morning, how you get pumped and rebooted for the day.
Awesome. Well, it's actually timely that you asked me this, because one guy I would consider my mentor is Eben Pagan. I bought basically all of his programs, part of his passport, and I actually got to speak with him over Skype personally 3 different times and coaching with him. And he has a program called Wake Up Productive, and I've gone through it several times. I'm actually going back through it again right now. And one of his his advice for increasing your productivity is to create a morning ritual that helps you get everything that you need done in the morning that's most important. And so, when I look in my life and we ask what's most important, well, it's your health is most important. And then it's also there's some certain things depending on what time of year in your business that's most important. And I always share the reason why a good morning ritual is important to me. And that's because I've read several books on willpower, and it's a scientific fact that you have more willpower in the morning than you do in the afternoon. I mean, as you go through your day, you lose willpower. So that means if we want to get important things done, that we need to put them in the morning so that we can make sure that they get done. And for me, I struggle with a morning ritual. So I'll be honest and say, like, I do it maybe 60, 70% of the time, but I'm working on getting it up to 80, 90% of the time.
Yep.
And I've had to work hard to do that. It seems like other people, it comes really easy to them. But for me, I work in it. And so what I do in the mornings is I do some exercise and some movement. And some days it's going to the gym, which I try to do more days than not. But even if it's not going to the gym, if I wake up a little bit later than I should have, it's going outside and around the block for a walk and just getting some motion and some movement in. I've also found, and Evan Pagan and Brendan Burchard, those guys, they say, just down a huge glass of water when you first wake up and get that hydration in the body. And so I set aside, for me, I have to actually set this out in the morning to make sure that I get it done. If I just depend on me trying to go and grab everything in the morning, I know it's not going to happen. So I'll set out a half-liter bottle of water, and I try to chug as much of that as I possibly can first thing in the morning. And then after I brush my teeth and when I do my exercise, I want to make sure I get my supplements in. So I actually create little packages that have my fish oil, multivitamin, and probiotic, which is the 3 supplements I think for myself is most important. And so I'll make sure that that's set out so that I get those. Once I get those, I'm a coffee person, and I figure, you know what? I'm not going to give up on my coffee in the morning, but if I do these healthy things before, at least I'm healthier drinking my coffee than I wasn't if I don't do them. So try to work out, drink the water, take the supplements, and then I brew my coffee and go to work. And I try to get there early because I want that first hour to be what is absolutely most important on my day that I need to get done. In some cases, in fact, in many cases, it's sending out the email that needs to be sent because I know that's highest leverage activity. If I can email, 500 people in one press of a button, that's huge high leverage.
Yep.
But that's what I try to do. Most important in the morning, first starting with my health, and then the first 1 or 2 things on the agenda that's most important for the business that day.
No, that's awesome. And one thing I just want to kind of highlight, well, 2 things really. First thing's a statement, second's a question. First is, you'll notice that for those who are listening and watching, you'll notice one of the things he said I want to key in on, and that is this. You would be surprised as to how much more effective you will be at being consistent in a morning routine if you can simply do a few simple things to set it up ahead of time. Like you said, get it out ahead of time the night before. You'd be surprised as to something so simple and how huge of an impact that would make on you. So for me, it's like getting my shoes out, getting my workout shoes in the morning, getting everything all ready to go right downstairs so that when I walk, when I get up out of bed, I just walk downstairs. I've got my books that I'm reading. I've got my shoes that are ready to go. That, like you said, you've got your supplements already pre-ready done. You've got your water out. You've got everything. They talk about in the book, Happiness Advantage, he talks about activation energy. If you could lower the activation energy, make it so easy that you just stumble into success, you stumble into your routine, it'll make it a heck of a lot easier. So the second thing that I was going to say is the question. You talked about books that you're reading on willpower. Which one would you say is the best one that you've read as far as willpower?
There are 2 books on willpower, and I can't remember the exact names. I know one of them is just called The Science of Willpower. The second one...
Okay. Is it Willpower Instinct by Kelly McGonigal?
Yes, it is. Yep.
I love that book.
And I don't know why they're both yellow. There must be a reason, maybe psychologically they knew that's what fit with willpower or something. But I just remember they're yellow books, and I have them on my, actually downloaded them on my iTunes and listened to them both like 5 times on audiobooks.
No, I haven't listened to that other one, but Kelly McGonigal's is awesome. Great book. I actually have several copies here on hand that I give to patients. It's just a reference for them. And so no, great book. So anyways, I know you're busy, man. And so I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. Any last bit advice for chiros? If you could give them some last bit advice as far as anything, one thing you could share with them, what would you share with them? It could be general, it could be specific, it could be random, it could be anything.
I'll share with you something that, because I am going back through that Evan Pagan's Wake Up Productive right now, and something that he said to me or said over the video this morning that I'm working on implementing is whenever you feel, you ask yourself, what do I need to do to be successful? And if one of them is, if I would answer that question by saying, well, it's setting up an email software, an email system, it's writing out 10 emails and being able to put them in an automated sequence, then then if you haven't done that yet, you get in touch with that part of yourself, or that part that's holding you back. It's that feeling of anxiety of not doing it. And you ask yourself, why are you keeping me from being successful? And you ask and you listen for your body to say something. And so even if it's like public speaking, and you're so nervous, you don't want to set up a talk, you don't want to get in front of them, you say, you find that area that's fearful inside you, and you say, why are you keeping me from doing this talk? Why are you keeping us from being successful? And you listen for the answer, because they'll answer. It'll say something like, well, I'm just trying to protect us, or, you know what, I'm just afraid that we don't have time to do this, and we're just going to be creating something that takes extra time. But whatever that answer is probably the truth. And it's probably something that you can work on, and then say, well, if I do this and this, I'll make sure that we're protected, or like there's actually no way that I can get hurt by getting in front of people and doing a talk. You know what I mean? Or answering that reason why you're fearful inside will help you to take that step that will actually push you in the direction of success, and will keep you from doing what we most do, is self-harm, and keeping us from being successful that way.
Right. No, and what you just said there is something that I preach very, very adamantly, and that is ask better questions, right?
Yeah.
So much of the solutions that I've been able to find in my practice to problems that I've had has come about just by asking better questions. And I think you're exactly right. And I think the key to that is you've got to have time to be able to do that. And so often we get caught up in mode. We wake up too late, we sleep in the morning, and then the minute you get up, you're just having to kind of catch up on all these things, which again, I'm going to go back to that whole morning routine, man. It's all about getting up early, having your morning routine so you have the time and the space to think, so you can ask those types of questions. Because I think you'd be shocked and surprised solutions you could come up with just by sitting and thinking and just kind of slowing things down, not getting into that rat race cycle of having to feel like you're having to turn around and put out fires and solve problems and be in a state of constant reaction. Instead, calm things down, slow things down, start that process of kind of asking these questions like you're talking about. So that's powerful, man. That's super powerful.
Amen, brother.
So, anyways, well, Dr. Tabor Smith, thank you again so much for taking time out of your schedule, man. You're a stud, and next time you're in Boise, we're gonna have to get together and hang out. We'll go river rafting or do something fun, go fishing or something fun. I know you're down in Texas, so you probably do a ton of fishing and stuff down there.
Sounds like a plan, man. Sounds like fun.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Reboot Podcast, and we will talk again real soon. Thanks again, Dr. Smith.
Bet.